It was a shameful show of what the Republican Party has become and what Donald Trump represents. We saw racism, sexism over and over again by speakers for a couple of hours.
The only garbage I see floating out there is his supporters.
Please forgive him. Please forgive him, for he not knoweth what he said.
That's just a little bit of back and forth over the past, 72 hours or so of individuals who are upset about a joke from Tony Hinchcliffe, a comedian, a roast comedian of all kinds, during Donald Trump's Sunday Madison Square Garden event, making a joke about Puerto Rico and saying that, hey, there's a big pile of garbage out in the middle of the ocean, and then he referenced Puerto Rico. Obviously, people not happy about that joke, but coming from Tony Hinchcliffe, who spoke several hours before the main line of speakers, from Hulk Hogan to Elon Musk to Melania Trump, and then the president himself speaking at MSG. But Tony Hinchcliffe's joke, he's a roaster. If you've never seen his roasts before, but he's in the space of comedy, he's brutal. He is brutal and very quick-witted, and interesting to see that he was part of that lineup to keep people, engaged during whatever an 8-hour rally at Madison Square Garden. He wasn't the only person speaking. A lot of others said some controversial things throughout, but clearly his joke made a lot of headlines and even got the attention of The Daily Show's Jon Stewart, who had this to say.
There's something wrong with me. I find that guy very funny. So, I'm sorry. I don't know what to tell you. I mean, bringing him to a rally and have him not do roast jokes, that'd be like bringing Beyonce to a rally and not have... Oh.
So a comedian making jokes about a comedian making jokes. And in particular, I think the joke he landed there, Jon Stewart, was, Beyonce was at a Kamala Harris rally. People thought she was going to perform. Even the media was saying, expect a performance from Beyonce at a Kamala Harris rally in Texas. And that didn't turn out to be the case. She just showed up and spoke for 4 minutes, and then people started leaving Kamala Harris's rally. But Jon Stewart saying, just an interesting kind of quip there about, having a comedian show up and not deliver jokes is like having Beyonce show up and not actually have a Beyonce dance party. Governor J.B. Pritzker was asked about the rally, and in particular, the way the questioner asked the question was, some are connecting this to hate and vitriol and sexism and such. And
made by some of the speakers. It was a shameful show of what the Republican Party has become and what Donald Trump represents. And we saw racism, sexism over and over again by speakers for a couple of hours, and of course directly by Donald Trump. So I think it should show America what is at stake in this election and why people need to get out and vote and make sure that they're voting for democracy, that they're voting for the candidate who's genuinely going to stand up for the middle class and not for the wealthiest people. I mean, he had the wealthiest person on earth, I think, speaking at his rally and saying things that are untrue. Over and over, we heard things that I think we're all, as Americans, should be ashamed to have one major political party expressing. And I think Americans will show up as a result of that Madison Square Garden event. Many people will show up to vote against the Republican Party.
So obviously the governor is saying that the event and all the sexist and racist jokes he characterized them as is evidence of the Republican Party. And as that labeled the entirety of the Republican Party, those who are going to support Donald Trump as racist and misogynist and sexist and so on. Did he say that explicitly? Of course, I played you the entire comment. I'll let you kind of deduce that yourself. But then later in the day, yesterday, as Kamala Harris was delivering a speech in Washington, D.C., connecting Trump to the riot of January 6th of 2021, you had President Joe Biden, who, again, was running until about 3 months ago when reporting indicates that he was asked to step down, and Kamala Harris was installed as the candidate, not going through a primary, but instead being installed. You have President Biden, as Harris was going onto a stage, taking part in a Latino Voters' Voice event, and had this to say.
That I know, or Puerto Rico, where I'm in my home state of Delaware, they're good, decent, honorable people. The only garbage I see floating out there is his supporters. His demonization of Latinos is unconscionable, and it's un-American. It's totally contrary to everything we've done.
So I'm curious, the governor does have an event later on this morning, I believe in the Chicagoland area. Are some reporters in Chicago going to ask the governor, is President Biden going too far, and saying that the only garbage he sees is his supporters? He had to take to X and post this. Earlier today, I referred to the hateful rhetoric about Puerto Rico spewed by Trump's supporter at his Madison Square Garden rally as garbage, which is the only word I can think of to describe it. His demonization of Latinos is unconscionable. That's all I meant to say. The comments at that rally don't reflect who we are as a nation. But again, the comments were from a comedian. A controversial comedian, but if you talk to any comedian, they likely will tell you that comedy's supposed to be controversial. Well, after President Biden's comments that Trump supporters are garbage, and even after trying to clarify that, definitely was something that Trump took last night and made a point on stage shortly after those words were spoken by Biden. Here's the former president.
That's terrible. That's what it says. That's what it says. So you have, remember Hillary, she said deplorable, and then she said irredeemable, right? But she said deplorable, that didn't work out. Garbage, I think, is worse, right? But he doesn't know, you have to please forgive him. Please forgive him, for he not knoweth what he said. These people, it's terrible, terrible. Terrible to say a thing like that, but he really doesn't know. He really, honestly, he doesn't. And I'm convinced that he likes me more than he likes Kamala. Convinced.
Well, others are speculating just that as well, because this is not the first time that Biden has seemed to upstage Kamala Harris, as Kamala Harris is making comments in this election cycle. Less than a week to go. What's going to happen? How's this going to continue to play out? We will continue to cover it for you. Here with Illinois in Focus Daily. Like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Join us each and every weekday morning, breaking down things you need to know here with America's Talking Network.